Put the smile on. Hi, everybody. Welcome to This Week in Falmouth. This is Michael.
And I'm Susan.
Hello,
And
Susan.
hi, Michael. How are you?
I'm well. How you doing?
Very well, thank you. Very
All
well.
right.
Yeah, looking forward to the spring.
You're looking very well.
Oh, thank you.
Big smile,
Yeah.
radiating. Got your books again there behind you.
With my
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
And
you're right
us
about
with
the
our
spring.
yep,
The
and
good
us
wood.
with our blue, you got the memo and
I
all
got
of
the
that.
blue memo.
Yeah.
All right.
So, Michael, we're going to start out with a fundraiser. This is the Falmouth Art Center, their annual You Art What You Eat fundraiser, which they have gone virtual with for this year. There will be four author talks or artist talks, and they've paired it with four different restaurants to pick up your food and Zoom for the talk, and you get a special gift bag that has an item that was created by their fiber artists and an item that was created by their pottery artists.
Fun.
And
Good.
that's, of course, while supplies last. So this first one is actually tonight at 6:30.
Okay.
Murray White, who is of the Boston Globe, goes into depth on the work of the 19th century painter Edward Mitchell Bannister. And what he found that he was not only a great painter, but he was also a civic leader and helped put Providence, I know your hometown, on the map as a cultural center. And he was a founding board member of RISD, which is also in your heart, and the driving force in establishing the Providence Art Club in 1880.
Very well. So that's kind of interesting because I've known of Edward Bannister very, very well. In fact, there's a very
Uh-huh.
famous Edward Bannister painting hanging at the Providence Art Club, which I was a member for many, many years after I graduated from Rhode Island School of Design, and still was spending much time in Providence, the crown jewel of New England, I might add. But it's wonderful. Yeah, Edward Bannister is an amazing person, so I love that. That's just great. That's 6:30 tonight, huh? I'm gonna see what
That's
maybe.
6:30 tonight. Yeah, and I think
Wow.
you may have time to join. I don't know if you'll have time to order the meal. The restaurant partner this event is Blue in Mashpee, and they have a special menu. If you go through our website, you log on the registration, you'll get to the Art Center website, which has all of the information and menus and all that kind of stuff, and who to call, and so you may
Cool.
or may not be able to get the accompanying meal, but you probably will be able to get on the Zoom. And
Excellent.
did you know that 100 of Bannister's works are held by the Smithsonian American Art Museum?
I did not know that. That's interesting, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah, that is interesting.
One of Providence's favorite sons.
Uh-huh.
He's right up there with Buddy Cianci.
For very different reasons.
All
We will
right.
continue with the grant writing certificate series. This is to run on Tuesdays for 4 weeks, April 6th to April 27th, 2 to 4 p.m. This is by Zoom. It's Cape Cod Community College Center for Corporate and Professional Education, an invigorating and informative course that will equip you with the skills and tools you need to enter the exciting field of grant writing.
Well, it's true. But the other thing too, you're right, the exciting field, but this is tremendous for any of our many, many, many nonprofit organization members or
Sure.
anybody else out
Yeah.
there who, somebody on staff who should be familiar with writing grants, because
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of grant money that's going to be coming,
Yes.
particularly through some of this legislation that's going to be coming down for infrastructure and all.
Mm-hmm.
There could be some grant opportunities there.
And some
So,
of the recovery,
right.
legislation to try and
Right.
help businesses, which nonprofits are businesses, who have suffered through this pandemic. There's going to be a lot of money in the pipe stream, like you say. And I think at last count, there were some 3,000 nonprofits on Cape Cod. So lots of people should be writing grants.
Yeah, I'm sure that class is going to fill up very quickly. It's a good
Mm-hmm.
skill to have. So
Yep.
good. Wow. A lot going on.
Yep, tonight from 7 to 8:30 p.m., another Zoom presentation by the Falmouth Museums on the Green. This is a virtual talk, How to Hide an Empire, with Daniel Immerwauer. This is the story of the United States outside the United States. It is the expansive tale of America's global conquests, the actual territories this country has inhabited and governed to build an empire, like the Guano Islands, where prospectors collected one of the 19th century's most valuable commodities, like the Philippines, the site of the most destructive event on US soil, like Puerto Rico, where US doctors conducted grisly experiments they would never have dared on the mainland. America's empire once extended well beyond the 50 states, but in the years after World War II, everything shifted.
Yep.
And we moved from colonialism and used innovations in technology and electronics, transportation, and culture to gain economic power and influence. So
History,
not,
man.
not
History
just the
doesn't
UK.
lie. It's kind of, what?
Yeah.
You're like, really? I mean, you think about some of that stuff. You're right.
Yeah,
Wow.
we were an empire builder.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Crazy.
Empire by any other name, right?
Mm-hmm.
On Wednesday, April 7th at 7 p.m., another Zoom presentation, this one presented by the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Falmouth. It is called Miracle on a Plate. Don Cox, who is president and CEO of the Mass Military Support Foundation, will tell how 2,000 volunteers, 471 partner organizations, and 559 venues rapidly came together in new ways to deliver more than 22 million meals to respond to COVID-19 in Massachusetts. That's a
Amazing.
huge number.
That's a huge number.
Yeah, 22 million meals. Wow. What an undertaking.
Yeah.
On
They should put them in charge of the vaccine rollout.
there you go. Sometimes, yeah.
A part
Sometimes
of it, right? There we go.
sometimes the grassroots people, they have a better handle on how this
Wow, it's
stuff
pretty
works.
amazing. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. On Wednesday, April 7th, 7 to 8:30 p.m., Falmouth Museums on the Green will present by Zoom the virtual talk War Fever with Randy Roberts. Boston, baseball, and America in the shadow of the Great War.
Hmm.
Boston, 1918, the deadly Spanish flu, the streets empty, the war raged on, the enemy seemed to be lurking everywhere, prowling in submarines off the coast of Cape Cod, arriving on passenger ships in the harbor. Anyone who looked or sounded German was suspect. A fever gripped the city and wouldn't let go. 3 memorable men lived during this delirious moment in history. Karl Muck, the German conductor of the Boston Symphony Orchestra, was accused of being an enemy spy. Charles Whitsley, a Harvard law graduate, became an unlikely hero in Europe, and Babe Ruth, who was poised to revolutionize the game he loved and become the most famous baseball player of all time. Together, they offer a gripping narrative of Boston, America at war, and American culture in upheaval.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
And aside, all of these authors, their books are available through A Cousins Bookstore on Main.
Excellent.
Yeah, you can either order them online or go in and they might have them in stock or they can be ordered.
Yep. Next day. They usually can get the books next day if they're
Yeah,
not there.
they're very good.
Shop local.
Yep. Shop
That's
local.
faster than Amazon. Shop local.
These
That's
days, yeah.
That's right.
Anything that doesn't have to be mailed. On Thursday, April 8th, noon to 1, Falmouth Museums on the Green will be presenting A Game of Birds and Wolves with Simon Parkin, the ingenious young women whose secret board game helped win World War II.
Wow.
Yeah. By the autumn of 41, German U-boats were devastating the British war effort. Operating in groups known as wolf packs, inspired by the indigenous hunters of their homeland, they had torpedoed and sunk countless convoys packed with vital supplies. Winston Churchill knew the outcome of the war rested on a battle for the Atlantic. What he didn't know was his solution would evolve from a game. Captain Gilbert Roberts and a group of 10 Wrens, who are Women's Royal Naval Service members, assigned to his team, invented it. The board was a linoleum floor divided into painted squares. The pieces were model ships moving across a make-believe ocean. The object revealed the tactics behind the German U-boats and develop a countermaneuver. And that maneuver became known as Operation Raspberry. And in the words of one admiral, contributed in no small measure to the final defeat of Germany.
Wow.
Yeah, who knew?
Pretty fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah. On Thursday, April 8th, 6 to 7:30, Highfield Hall and Gardens will continue their virtual winter supper club. This is a Zoom lecture paired with a restaurant offering, which you pick up. Thursday night will be Bruce Strickrot from Hui. This is the 5th dinner of the series. Bruce Strickrot is the group manager and chief pilot of Alvin, the deep sea submergence vehicle. And he'll be discussing the piloting of the Alvin submersible 4 miles below the ocean surface. Dinner
4
will be provided,
miles.
yeah, 4 miles, huh? Kind of dark down there.
Kind of scary, I'm sure. Wow.
Dinner will be provided by Osteria La Civetta. Again, go onto our website, falmouthchamber.com, find information on how to register for these events.
Wow.
And you can also click through for more information like menus and things like that. On Thursday, April 8th, 7 to 8 p.m., Falmouth Museums on the Green by Zoom is presenting Rome 1960, the Summer Olympics that stirred the world with David Moranis. 18 days of theater, suspense, victory, and defeat. Some of the most honored athletes in Olympic history, including Louisville boxer Cassius Clay, who was 4 years before becoming Muhammad Ali. Change was everywhere. The first doping scandal, the first commercially televised summer games, and the first athlete paid for wearing a certain brand of shoes. There was a lot of dispute, East and West Germans, 2 Chinas, the pressure to provide equal rights for Black and women, an independence movement that was sweeping sub-Saharan Africa, and 14 nations in the process of being born. Those late summer days at the dawns of the 60s had a much deeper meaning, and the whole world was stirring with change.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was the 60s.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was a little, but I remember a lot of it.
Well, the
simple days.
60s, yeah.
I was little, but I
I
mean,
was like a toddler in the early
I can
60s.
still, well, 63, so like in the late 60s, yeah, early
Yeah.
60s, yeah,
Yeah.
right, no. But,
I
yeah,
remember the late 60s.
remember the tunes in the car, you
Oh,
know?
yeah.
So my mother's driving and listening, of course, sitting on the armrest with no seatbelt while she smoked and drove. Different world today,
Way
right?
different world, yeah. And peasant dresses, which are making a resurgence and all of that stuff. Yep.
Oh, man. All right. That is
Saturday, those are the good old days, right? Saturday, April 10th, 8 to 9 o'clock. Cahoon Museum of American Art, will be presenting a virtual Zoom program, Material Considerations in Contemporary Art, a panel discussion. This kicks off its program season with a live Zoom conversation featuring artists Cicely Carew, Juan Escobedo, and Loretta Park. And the artists will share insights into their creative practices and how they work with found and discarded materials in making their art. The discussion will be moderated by Cahoon Museum Education and Programs Manager, Michael McMahon.
nice.
Yeah, lots of art and lots of literature and history this week.
Discarded and found materials. It's kind of cool, you know, when you think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that at Cahoon, they have an exhibit by Ed Schmidt, who is a former Cotuit resident, and it's upstairs in the Cahoon Museum, and it is all found and discarded materials that he has repurposed in artistic ways.
And you've seen that exhibit,
I
right?
have seen that.
You have seen that exhibit.
Yeah. Yep.
Neat.
On Monday, April 12th, 7 to 8 p.m. at the Falmouth Museums this is another virtual Zoom presented by the Falmouth Museums on the Green, The Eagles of Heart Mountain with Bradford Pearson, a true story of football, incarceration, and resistance in World War II America.
Wow.
The Spring of '42, The United States government forced 120,000 Japanese Americans from their homes in California, Oregon, Washington, and Arizona, sending them to incarceration camps across the West. Nearly 14,000 landed behind barbed wire on the outskirts of Cody, Wyoming, at the base of the Heart Mountain. There they faced racism, cruelty, and frozen winters. Although they tried to recreate comforts from home, Buddhist temples, sumo wrestling pits, and kabuki performances that drew hundreds of spectators, there was little hope. Until the fall of 1943, the camp's high school football team, the Eagles, started its first season and finished undefeated, crushing the competition from nearby, predominantly white high schools. Everyone in the camp shared the victory. You know, sports can be so resurrecting, can it?
They should make a movie. Has anybody made a movie about this?
I don't know, but maybe they will now. Everyone in the camp shared the victory, but the federal government began drafting the men from the camps for the front lines, including some of the Eagles, and teammates were divided. Some jailed for their decisions, and some unlikely heroes emerged. The Eagles of Heart Mountain.
Yikes. Back to that, like you were talking about the whole empire thing and some of the, history, can't erase history, and some of that shameful stuff that went on. And
I think that there's probably no country on the planet that was perfect. And I think
of course not. Yeah.
Probably no country that didn't make some major missteps as they were developing. And we're included.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so finally, we're going to switch gears altogether. Tuesday, April 13th, 5:30 to 8:30 p.m., Highfield Hall and Gardens. This is in person at Highfield Hall.
In person.
In person, Fairy House Designs with Anna Holmes. This one is for adults. Join artist and floral designer Anna Holmes for her brand new adults only workshop that will take you on an enchanting journey to create and construct your very own miniature fairy world garden filled with magic.
Wow.
It's designed for everyone to make a kind of a one-of-a-kind fairy house, and part of the fun is that you will be hunting for your own materials ahead of time. You will have to provide your own materials, which you have sourced ahead of this class. You will be given your own workspace, and you'll work independently with instruction from Anna as needed. It will be held outside on the porch, weather permitting. Of course, the social distancing, the masks will be required.
Right.
And if you need some help, there's an optional pre-meet with Anna by Zoom to plan and prepare. So these are always very popular. So if you're interested in this at all, you better sign up now.
Nice.
And
that's cool.
it.
I like that. Adult only.
Adults only. They've been so popular with the kids for the past few years, and adults kind of wanted their own.
And I'm kind of thinking a lot of people after this year of COVID want to do an adult only event. Like, okay, kids, mom and dad are going out. See you later, right? Oh,
especially one around fairies, right?
That's a lot of good stuff you got there, Susan. That's pretty awesome.
It's pretty cool,
That's great.
huh? And then there's, of course, the usual, all the ongoing exhibits and everything. That's on our calendar.
Yep.
So check our online calendar, falmouthchamber.com. We are adding things and changing things every day.
Yep.
And there's still a lot going on in town. Some of it's not face-to-face, but it's still a bunch to do.
And they'll be gearing up, as you know, the weather's getting warmer, more outdoor stuff, as more people become vaccinated.
Yep.
We're very hopeful and I don't want to say 100% confident, but hopeful and semi-confident that we're going to have as normal of a summer as possible.
Yep. I mean, we already know that there's going to be a lot of visitors around.
There are, the phones at the chamber, as you know, Susan, ringing off the hook, people calling, accommodations are very busy. People are planning their getaways and planning to come here. We're continuing to push the message, everybody be responsible, even though you're vaccinated, wear your mask, continue to follow the guidelines so that we don't have a spike of any kind. We want to make sure that things are going along. It's kind of cool to see the restaurants starting to plan for the outside dining already.
They're setting things up.
And I know that, in talking to a lot of our members that host weddings, it's very busy. Weddings are coming back, albeit smaller, but still, it's going to be a little bit more cautious this summer, but it's going to be a lot more normal than obviously last summer was.
Sure.
Yeah.
And know that if you want to come to Falmouth, you will be able to enjoy our lovely town.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
All right. Well, make it a great week. Get outside, enjoy the good weather.
Have a great week.